welcome. My name is Peter Gorr, and I live in Deer Park. Um, and what we're going to accomplish during this session is give you an overview, not a very technical overview, but an overview of a solar installation done on a home. Now, this is my second home where I have installed solar. So I have a couple of experiences. The first was on my home in Palatine in 2011. Then I moved here in 2016 and right away installed solar on this home in 2017. So we'll be able to kind of compare how costs have changed over time. And we will drill into the numbers quite a bit. Production, cost, savings, etc. But we're first going to start with the building blocks of a solar system. And I'm going to step outside shortly and show you my installation here in Deer Park and the way it's orientated. Then I'm going to go in my garage where my inverter is located, switch to another device, and maybe bring up some PowerPoint slides where we can kind of crunch some of the numbers and see some websites. Now, let's see, today is supposed to be sunny, about 20 degrees warmer with a lot of wind. It's cloudy, pretty cool, and a light breeze, but there's a bit of a breeze, and so maybe you're going to hear some wind noise. I apologize for that. So I'm gonna change the orientation of this camera, and we'll step outside. And I think if there's not too many of us, you can unmute yourself, ask a question, or in the chat box you can write a question, and at some point we'll get to them. Hopefully I'll answer most of the more common questions people have. And I'm going to start with, is my house suitable for solar, and what is the best orientation for a system? Well, south exposure is the best, and it just so happens that my home here in Deer Park has a south exposure facing the street. So there's a couple of complaints, you might say, that solar unjustifiably have to deal with. One is aesthetics. I don't like the way it looks, and the other is cost. And we're gonna kind of discuss both of those. So I'm going to step outside. I'm going to show you my street-facing system. And when I installed this, I did pay attention to aesthetics. I was in a new neighborhood, didn't want to develop any ill will with the neighbors, never heard a complaint, and I think the system looks okay. So again, I'm going to step outside and we'll take a look at it. Again, this is the view front of the house. So you can see not a busy street. And this is the front of the house, and you can see there's the solar array. Honestly, I think the house looks better with it than without. And I was amazed at how many people said that they didn't even notice it. So that's the array. I have 21 330 watt panels for just under 7 kilowatts. And a couple questions people normally have is, well, these are sitting on your roof. Did you reshingle your roof before putting them up, or what happens if you need to reshingle your roof? Well, they have to come down, and that is an added expense. This roof was in very good shape, so I didn't have to reshingle. They just went up there, and what you'll notice is, and if I can get it orientated, you'll see that they actually sit. See, they're not flat against the roof. There is some airflow, and that's kind of important. Solar panels like to be cool, not too hot. So as far as the outside of the house is concerned, that is all that you see. Again, facing directly south. Now, what's nice about having a cloudy day is that's another question is what happens if it's cloudy? We all know what happens when it's sunny. I produce a lot of electricity. But what about cloudy? I'll be able to show you that today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wander over to um, my garage, and I'm going to get off of this device and switch the audio to another device. Hopefully it goes kind of smoothly. So. Okay. And let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Sound good, Peter.
There's that. Hold on. That's that echoing issue that I talked about. How is it now?
It's good. I muted it.
Thank you. So, can you get, let me see. Can you get the other screen so where I can share?
Just stop sharing from your phone. No, you can do it. Oh yeah, you may have to do it there. Yeah.
Oh, stop.
And then share from your computer.
Let me see. Oh. Hold on here. I'm just going to turn off my my phone. I'm hoping that's going to allow me to.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Is it?
I
don't know why.
It says Samsung. Is that your computer or your phone?
Yeah, that's my phone. I shut it off. Share.
Now we're seeing your screen.
How do I?
Just click on PowerPoint. If that's what you want to share.
I wanted, well, you know what, over my shoulder, I wanted to show my my inverter. I want to actually, how do I bring up, are you seeing me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Well, okay, let me just go to a PowerPoint. You can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm going to do is, okay, let me get back and I have a couple of pictures. I want to show a picture of the inverter that's kind of over my shoulder. This is the, okay, this is the other key component of a solar system. You saw outside, you saw the solar panels. Now, they generate DC electricity, and our homes use AC. So the second key component to a solar system is what's known as an inverter. And that's kind of over my shoulder. Here's a more of a close-up picture of it. And it
converts that DC to the AC, and then that just feeds right into the service panel. So my home has basically 2 wires coming into it. One is from my solar system, and the other is from the grid. Just about everybody that I know who has solar electric or solar photovoltaic systems like I showed you, stay connected to the grid, as opposed to, let's say, buying a battery bank. The reason is that there's a policy in Illinois. You might say it's a technical thing called net metering, and I'll explain that in a second. But essentially, when I have excess energy, I can put it out onto the grid, and the utility will store it and send it back when I need it. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But I wanted to show you the key components of a typical solar electric system. And there's maybe one other device I'll talk about relative to the net metering. So again, it's not a complex system. We have solar panels, you have mounting hardware, conduits, wires, an inverter, and you have power. So let me just kind of get back to the start of the, my goodness gracious, what's going on here? All right, just stop it, and behave. Oh, goodness. What happened? Why?
Do you want a slideshow? There we go.
Wow. I'll tell you, the minute you go live, things just glitch. Okay, well, what I wanted to, the first thing I wanted to show you is one of the capabilities when you do have your own, power plant on your home. Certainly, you have the ability to look at that system and how it's performing. So what I'm hoping to do here is to show you, and it looks like it's working. I go to a website, and I can do this with a smartphone anywhere in the world, and up comes information about my system, historical information as well as real-time information. And so here is what's going on this month with this system. And you can see overall, been a very good month, but a couple of few days where the production was low. Well, most likely it was raining, or as you can see, if you go all the way over to the 26th today, you'll see how low that bar is. We're producing some energy, but not near what we would on an otherwise sunny day. There's very good models that they have developed. So no matter where you live, contractors use these models in designing your system. And they're very, very accurate. I've taken my actual data and I've plugged it into these models that they use to forecast, and they're very accurate. So this up and down in production that will be subjected to in Illinois because of snow, because of rain, is all built in, and you can rest assured that a good contractor will be able to design a system and forecast production within a few percentage points of what will actually occur. So, but again, you can go and you can look at your system. You can look at it daily, weekly, monthly, over a certain billing period. You can see there since the beginning, each month's production, but also notice the shape of that curve, how We don't produce that much because of short days in winter, and it's the dead of summer where we're producing the most energy. And then, of course, it will trail off as it's starting to do as we get into fall and winter. So that's your production curve. I want to talk more about that. But the other thing, notice on this site, is that it feeds back the environmental benefits. How much CO2 emissions I've saved by making this investment. Now, we're also going to talk about all the money I'm saving, but I originally did this in 2011, my other home, because of the environmental benefits, or more the impact of not doing this. We have a lot of issues that we have to deal with these days. A climate crisis, a pandemic that is causing people to lose jobs. Renewable energy can replace those jobs. So again, a lot of benefits here. So this is the other thing that you're able to do. Now, let me get back to the PowerPoint, and for some reason my system just wants to. It's super sensitive. Okay. Okay, so we talked about the solar panels that are typically on the roof. Step one. That DC electricity goes to inverter. That inverter converts it to AC. That plugs into your service panel, and you use that energy unless you're producing too much energy. What happens with that? Well, this is called net metering. That excess energy, and this is a common question. People say, well, can you sell your excess energy? No, you don't sell it. But what you do is you put it on the grid. Somebody else in the neighborhood may use it. And the utility, in my case, ComEd, looks at that. They measure that. And they may need to put a new meter on your house, which they will do when you sign up for net metering. And it basically counts the amount of energy coming into your house from the grid and how much energy you're sending to the grid. And this back and forth is called net metering. And it's all done automatically, and the utility keeps track of it. And what they do is...
Hello?
Hello. Do we have a question? Okay. Feel free to raise your hand or open up a chat. And I don't think we have that many people that if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, that's fine. So what you will see, the benefits of net metering will be on your electric bill. It's going to look a little different. Now, this is an actual bill from March of 2018 on this home. And you can see in that particular month, this is late February, early March, I sent to the grid 600 kilowatts of kilowatt hours of energy, and they sent me 420. So I sent them more than they sent me. So you can see on my supply, I didn't need any of their supply. And the excess, you'll see, they accounted for it. And they're saying, okay, you sent us an extra 180, we're going to store it. So that's where earlier where I said, often people say, well, do you have batteries? In Illinois, we have such a good net metering policy. I don't need to buy batteries. I have ComEd willing to store that energy, and they owe it to me, and they'll maybe the next month if I need it, they'll tap that bank, those credits, and apply it to my bill. And I'm going to continue to talk about this. So that's basically batteries in Illinois don't make that much economic sense if you're if you have access to the grid, or as most homes are already are tied to the grid. Now, this is a policy that's actually driven by law in Illinois, so we're always keeping an eye on that policy, that it doesn't get changed. Some states have eliminated that policy, and the entire solar industry collapsed. So it is very important policy, and so ICEA, as well as other business and organizations, keep an eye on that. So again, Illinois has very good solar policies. This is one of them, and that's net metering. But I want to continue to talk about net metering, because it's, in the course of a year, you're going to see literally ups and downs in your bill and your energy production and your energy usage, and how does it all work together? If you remember that screenshot of my usage over the past few years, and how it was this mountain, low in winter, high in summer, and then low again as winter comes on. This is the typical production curve that you'll see with your whatever size system that you have. Your usage curve as a homeowner looks very much like this. And again, I'll be showing you mine in a minute. You use, with short days, long nights, a lot of lights burning in winter, your usage is way up, and you have a furnace going, and then as you go into spring, you're turning off your furnace, you haven't turned on your air conditioning, you're not using as many lights. Spring and fall, if you think about it, are your lowest usage times of year. Summer and winter are your highest, furnaces and air conditioners. So again, you've got these deficits compared to your production, where again, with the typical solar installation, you'll have times a year where there are deficits and times of year where there are surpluses. And your goal is to, hopefully those things match, and you ultimately end up with going through the year with buying very little energy from the utility to offset your lack of production. Now, my home, because I was concerned with the aesthetics of the installation, I actually could use about six more panels. But this is my solar production and my usage for 2019. I produced over 8,000 kilowatt hours, but my usage was over 11,000. Even with my being undersized, you can see in the spring, I still produced more energy than I needed. And thank God that I was able to roll that energy over, and you can see May, June, it helped offset the gap. Now, I'm going to be talking about something called community solar. Although my system doesn't meet my total usage, the rest of my usage that I'm not producing is going to be supplied to me by solar, but it's called community solar, and I will talk about this as well. So if you want to go solar, and let's say your home isn't suitable, or you can't put up a large enough array to meet your demands, you can offset the gap by subscribing to a off-site community solar project, and I'll explain what that is. So these are my numbers. I do produce over 8,000 kilowatt hours and of clean, cheap electricity. And we'll talk about that. So again, It's fun to watch this. All this data is available to you through your utility bill and your online access to your system's production. As we get into talking about the economics now of solar, a term that you'll hear is called renewable energy credits or renewable energy certificates. Typically, they're using the acronym RECs or SRECs, Solar Renewable Energy Credits. And what a REC is if you're a renewable energy producer, wind, solar, homeowner, business, for every 1,000 kilowatt hours of energy your system is producing, whether it goes on the grid, whether you use it, doesn't matter. You own the system produces that energy, you earn 1 REC for every 1,000 kilowatt hours. Now, the state of Illinois has a law that says 25% of the energy Illinois produces and uses will come from renewable resources. As a solar energy system owner, and I'm in Illinois, they want to count the energy that people like me, and there's hundreds and maybe there's now thousands of small producers like myself. It's called distributed generation. And the state wants to grow this population of small installations. They're happy when individual homeowners put solar on their house. They're part of the Illinois power grid. And one way to incentivize people to make these installations is to offer them payment for the RECs they are producing or will produce. In my case, as I produce a REC, I have a contract ultimately that is funded by the state where they pay me for the energy that I've just produced. The new program that Illinois is doing is you forecast 15 years worth of production and they give you a check up front. And it can add up to about 1/3 of the cost of your system. Now let me get into some of those actual numbers. But before I do that, let me just summarize the incentives that are available to you in Illinois when you install a solar system. Now, this is assuming you're the owner. As I mentioned, up to 1/3 of the cost could come back to you, depending on the size of the system, by way of selling to the state through an approved contractor. And many installers are approved to offer you this contract. But if they aren't, you can go to an aggregator who's happy to handle the paperwork for you. So about 1/3 can come through state incentives. Now, the federal government will also pay you for investing in clean energy, which is going to be our future as a nation. The tax, it is a federal tax credit, not an income deduction, but a tax credit. I was able to take 30% of the entire cost of installing my solar system off my taxes. In 2020, it dropped down to 26%. Next year, it'll be 22%. And right now, with the way the law is written, it goes away in 2022. Now, this becoming such an important thing, perhaps something will come in and replace it. Don't know how attractive it will be, but right now, reality is you can get 26% if you install this year yet, 22, and then 0. Something to keep in mind. So Now let me jump to show you some examples of solar system costs. Now this was my home in 2011 in Palatine, just down the road. I installed a fairly large array, about the same size as the system, actually is slightly smaller. But the efficiencies of solar panels is increasing year by year. What you're seeing there is 28 220 watt solar panels that add up to just under 7 kilowatts. The list price was some close to $50,000. After the incentives, and I won't go into the various incentives I got, I still was left with about $20,000, which is a sizable investment. One way you can compare costs these days is look at the cost per watt of your system as you get quotes from different contractors. Actually, that's not a bad price. I mean, it's 2011. That wasn't a bad price, and I was happy with it. And my savings were definitely going to more than offset that $20,000 and then some. But I sold that house. It sold in a couple of weeks. So is having solar on your house a drawback? Absolutely not. It's a feature people increasingly seek out. So let's jump to this home, and basically the same size system. Look at how the price dropped. Not 47, I paid 27, then I got that federal tax credit. I have I sell my renewable energy credits. My out-of-pocket, my pocket price after incentives, less than $10,000. Down to just over $1 a watt, a 52% decrease in the installation and hardware costs in, what was that, 5 years? And it continues to drop. I'll bet you people are paying under $1 a watt for some installations these days. So very exciting what's happening. And again, it's simple economics, supply and demand. The more demand, the greater the supply, the greater the competition for customers, driven by driving down costs and building up of efficiencies. So the future is just more and more exciting. But regardless, don't wait. There's timelines associated with these incentives, tax credits, and SRECs. So $10,000 for a system that is powering 75% of my electricity needs for the rest of my life is a no-brainer. It's less than a cost of a deck on your home. And again, this is a home improvement. These solar panels come with this house. If I were to move, most likely would more than recover my cost in selling the house. So the economics is very exciting. Often people say, what's the payback of your system? I'm saving about $1,000 a year from doing nothing. So in under 10 years, I will truly be powering most of this house. And I do have an electric vehicle, which I charge as part of my electricity demand. So I'm charging up my car for free. Again, the economics, and I like to look at it a couple of different ways to illustrate the attractiveness. And let me show you maybe one other way that I do like. This system, the typical solar system comes with a 25-year warranty on the panels. So if I just use the 25-year guarantee of production, which is 215,000 kilowatt hours, and I divide what I'm paying by that amount of energy that is guaranteed to me, what I essentially have done is locked in a price of just over 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So pull out your electric bill, look at what you're paying. Now, I have frozen that really for the rest of my life. And actually, if the system lasts more than 25 years, and it'll probably last 40 years, that number truly will be more like 1 or 2 cents per kilowatt hour. And if you're with the utility, where do you anticipate your prices to go? Down? Perhaps, but have they been? There's the economics of it. Again, I mentioned the two big things I think that concern people is how will it look and what is it going to cost? I think it looks great, and I have done it now more than once, and adding solar to my home is a standard. It's one of the best investments, the best ways to put some cash and not that much to work, paying you back a dividend monthly in the form of not having an electric bill. Now let me just kind of finish up. Okay, I'm going to switch gear now to the concept of community solar. Owning your own system, producing your own system with your own electricity with your own system is, if you can do it, do it. If you can't, for some reason, too much shading, you don't have access to the sun, whatever, consider community solar. I mentioned that I'm producing 75% of my usage. I'm covering 75% of my usage with my system. I'm not prepared to haphazardly throw more panels on the front of my home. So I signed up for community solar. I like this illustration. Community solar is now available in Illinois, and it's just coming online. Essentially what it is a developer comes in, they lease farmland or they buy a big plot of land and they throw hundreds, maybe thousands of solar panels in this array. You as an individual can say, I want some of that production. And that's what I did. I have a contract with a community solar developer for 2.5 kilowatts of production. So, it's like 6 solar panels. What they're going to do is monitor the energy that my panels generate and tell the utility, credit me that amount of energy off my bill. So it's net metering done virtually. And that should wipe out all of my energy needs coming from non-renewable sources that are typically the resources that ComEd uses: nuclear, coal, gas. Okay, so it's real simple. Again, a project is developed. You or businesses or schools or whatever can subscribe to that for the amount of energy that you want, any amount. My contract is good. It's locked in to me for 15 years, but there's no upfront cost. I can cancel at any time with no penalty. And when it starts, it's not live yet, but when it starts in March of 2021, what they will do is I will get credit off my ComEd bill for the amount of energy that they're providing, and then they send me a bill for that energy, and they are telling me, and again, the proof will be in the pudding, that their price to me will save me 20% over doing nothing. So I will be 100% solar and enjoying lower costs for the energy, whether it's coming from my system or it's coming from a community solar system. So that's sort of the solar story, again, from my...
being billed on a sort of a dollar basis.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite...
Keep going. It wasn't a question. Keep going.
Oh, okay. All right. And and so my presentation is done, and I'm happy to take questions. I just want to plug Illinois Solar Energy Association again for sponsoring the tour, for putting it on, and I encourage you, if you want to learn more about solar for your home, community solar, ISEA, the IllinoisSolar.org website is a tremendous resource. Support the association. They're a nonprofit. They're dedicated to advocacy, again, making sure the laws favor consumers and the industry, as well as educate consumers and professionals. And every year they have a raffle. I'm buying a Tesla, my 2012 volt, time to move on and get all electric. I don't know how lucky I feel about winning this one, but I expect to be driving a Tesla next year one way or another. Please consider that. And for more information, here's the way to contact ISEA. If you come up with a question later on, you can say, hey, email ISEA and say, hey, I want to ask Peter another question, or Mike Bullock, who has been kind of the technical behind the scenes. As you can see, Mike is also a solar ambassador and living with solar, as well as other technologies. As well as you can kind of find a professional, you can start shopping. I mean, ISEA won't point you to particular contractors or particular brands of equipment, but it can at least identify people that may be in your area. So if there's questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I think I will be able to see. Oh, there's a lot of chat going on. Mike is...
You know, there was a question. When you shared your monitoring, could you go back and just share how it would look looking at the module production?
You mean the online?
Yeah, so the Solar Edge site to show its monitoring.
Sure. I think that's right here.
So there was a question about DC optimizers and monitoring but at the module level.
Okay, so here that is. And again, well, this may be more appropriate for you. I am not technical. I am just a homeowner that did this and relied heavily on my contractor, their expertise, their recommendations, and I have in, what is it now, 9 years, thrilled with everything that they recommended and the results that I'm getting. But is there a technical question here?
I think scroll up a little bit, up and higher in the screen.
Yeah. Oh, let me just maybe click. There we go.
Keep going. Do the click on layout.
Yeah, the layout. I do have optimizers. My last home, I had micro inverters. Instead of having, as you see over my one inverter for the entire array, see, I don't have any shading issues here. So I could go with one inverter and solar optimizers, as opposed to my last home, I had micro inverters. In other words, every panel had its own little inverter. And the benefit there is if a panel is in shade, it doesn't bring down the production of the entire array. It's kind of like its own system. But in this case, if I had some panels that were in shade or something, it could affect the entire production. So, but I don't have that. But I am able to look at each and every panel, look at it historically. If one seems to be just way different than all the others, it would raise a red flag, and I would call a contractor. There's really very little maintenance concern, the warranties and everything. I've never spent a penny across now, what is that, 49 solar panels and 2 systems on maintenance. It's, I don't know, good brands, a good contractor who knows good brands of components, and did a great job. I've just been enjoying the results. But again, I can, this dashboard, I do use this dashboard when my bill comes in. The only way I know my usage is to see how much production I have, my system produced in that billing cycle, how much went to the grid, and I look at the difference, and the difference is how much that's the amount of production that I used, and then I add that to how much energy ComEd sent me, and that ends up being my usage stats. So I like to keep an eye on my usage in case I've got something kind of on the fritz, or you know, you know, I spend a little bit of time at that. I don't want to have to buy more solar panels just to produce energy that I'm wasting. So it's good to look at your lifestyle and see that you've got, you know, some efficiency going on there. I actually knew this system was a little undersized, so when I first installed it, it was only producing about 50% of my usage. So I went around the house, you know, changing light bulbs, and adding, you know, efficiency measures, and I'm up to 75%. So I kind of did it a little backwards from what often people say. Look at your efficiency, and then get your home very, very efficient, then buy. I bought, I think Mikey did a bit of the same thing, bought, and then I got into the efficiency. And what I did was I just reduced the demand on the utility. But you know, there was no, it was important that I do it quickly to get the incentives in my pocket, and then go from there. So, like I say, 2 homes, and what have I got? 9 years of experience, and I think in those 9 years I have been out as a solar ambassador, speaking to people about my experience, because it's not well known, and it's such a good thing to do as a consumer, both for the environment and for jobs. All of my energy jobs stays in this country. My energy dollars have stayed in this country, and primarily in Illinois, and with small businesses that I used to install this. And so it's been a win-win for you. It's it's a great thing for an individual to do. Do we feel free to unmute yourself if you've got a question?
Hey, Peter, this is Rex. Appreciate the presentation, and quick question on your inverters. So you started a microinverter, I'm taking probably with an Enphase, and then now you're a SolarEdge central inverter. What was your thought process between your two systems to go that way?
I leaned on my contractor. My original installation in 2011. In 2011, I was pretty much a pioneer. There were not too many residential systems, and I didn't know anything about it. So what I did was I started to call contractors, and I learned from them. Is to come take a look at my house. I want to go clean energy. I mean, that was basically my statement. And they came in and looked at it, and they started looking at shading issues. And the reason to go microinverters originally in my other home was that I had shading, some large trees that I was not going to cut down, and they affected at certain times of the day, in the morning and in the evening, some of the panels. And so they recommended microinverters to increase production overall in the course of the day. So my second home, they came and they said, you got no shading issues. No, we don't need to bother with all of these microinverters. We're just going to do the one inverter for the array, which again just kind of stands behind, sits on the wall behind me, which is less hardware and has been very reliable. I did have a bit of an issue with the microinverters in my last home. They were going down, one here, one there, another one here. And I had to, the contractor and myself going, this is a pain in the neck. Although the contractor came out and swapped them out, no cost, they were covered. Enphase says, this isn't right. I mean, you shouldn't be having 3 or 4 inverters going down in a matter of 2 or 3 years. Enphase swapped out all 28 microinverters to another model, and boom, rock solid. So as a consumer, I'm going to say going solar has been one of the most pleasant experiences in dealing with companies and technology and contractors. I mean, they stand behind the products. They're there for you. And like I said, I just sat back and let the magic happen. They handled everything, and if something wasn't right, they took care of it. So it's been a very, very positive experience in that regard. And again, as a homeowner that really doesn't understand this technology other than I want clean renewables and I want to enjoy, energy at 4 cents a kilowatt hour for the rest of my life, and beyond. So now supposedly these the panels that I have, they put up these optimizers, and I think they function a little bit like microinverters, where if there's as far as, again, kind of optimizing the production. Again, these are good questions for a contractor, and we recommend, you don't just, you could call me and say, who did you use? And I'm happy to tell you who I used. But I'm also going to say, you know what, talk to 2 or 3 people, because that's where, you pose these questions and see what the answers come back. As the industry grows and more and more businesses, surface saying, hey, I sell solar, the quality of contractors can also vary. So we recommend get recommendations, look at how long they've been in business, talk to their customers. Like with any home improvement, if you're going to replace your furnace, do your homework. Ask for referrals, ask for references, compare recommendations. But also our recommendation is if you're thinking about it, do it. I mean, do it. Get started.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Two of my solar clients have electric vehicles, and you alluded that you were going to go solar, or not solar, that you were going to go electric vehicle. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, I actually have had a Chevy Bolt, which is an electric vehicle, but it also has a gas-powered electric generator. I always have been running on electricity, but the battery, back in 2012, this is a 2012, which is again a long time ago in this world of electricity, and I get maybe 35 to 40 miles on a charge, which, for the most part, gets me, most places. But I want to go all electric, and I just want to, I guess I want to enjoy Tesla technology maybe. So I have been charging an electric vehicle since 2012. And so I've enjoyed, and I don't even factor that in to the economics of solar. But yeah, my usage is, part of my usage is charging my car. I imagine that usage will inch up a little bit when I go to an all electric vehicle that's providing 250, 300 miles. Now I was told recently by a contractor that there are inverters that actually have, as part of their design, a charging plug. So there's combination inverter with battery charge. So I heard about that. I'm not going to go in that direction, but if I was starting fresh, I might inquire about having more of that all built into one unit where, but whether it goes through the inverter, through a service panel, out, another line to your charger. At the end of the day, it's all kind of the same thing. So.
Awesome, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah. Other comments, questions? I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And if not, then thank you. We enjoy it. I know Mike and I just love talking about this. Again, it's such a positive, in these days of so much negative news, it's nice to be able to talk about something, technology like this that can actually have an impact on not just the climate crisis, but economic recovery. Now we have an economic crisis of people out of work. The solar industry was hiring anybody with a pulse, and now they're forced. I think they're maybe downsizing their businesses a little bit, but that shouldn't be the case. Solar and renewable energy in general can be part of this recovery that we face with the pandemic. and also racial justice. It can impact that, because with some of the bills that ICEA is sponsoring, called Path to 100, low-income communities, communities of color have an opportunity to establish businesses and take advantage of again, energy savings, jobs, and all that. So for me personally, I'm such an advocate for this because it touches so many critical areas of our society right now that are hurting. And this is, again, just a win-win-win. And I hope as a society in general that we understand that, and we embrace it as consumers and drive ourselves to a better place, literally and figuratively. So
That's awesome, Peter. I'm hoping that you can call Jamie Pritzker and maybe some of his team and get that bill passed, the Pritzker Energy Bill, quote, quote.
well, he has put out, I mean, the exciting thing about Pritzker is he's put out a framework.
All right.
If you look at the framework,